Welcome to What the Group Chat Say, the podcast where the group chat finally got a mic. We're three friends in our 40s talking about life, friendships, relationships, and everything we didn't see coming in this decade. I'm Vonnie, here with Kia and Drea. Okay, so today, I guess I'm on the hot seat.
Yes,
So, what do you guys want
you
to know
are.
about me?
All the things, everything, tell us all. Yes. Hi, Siobhan. Hot seat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are ready. I need you to tell us how to stay in what are you guys, 20 years? 20 years in?
20, 21. It'll be
21
21
years.
dating in a couple weeks.
I would
Yes.
say your wedding was
So
fun.
your wedding was bomb as hell.
Oh, I was so drunk, and I invited myself.
Girl, I think we all were. That shit was fun. Like,
I think I just remember he is saying Siobhan's getting married in Vegas, and we're all going. I was like, great. Can I go too? Is there any room for me? And then Siobhan said there was that I can come too. So I was like, well, then I'll just come on in that car with y'all.
let's
Yeah, I didn't have your
go.
address, or you would have been invited.
Because
I didn't
maybe
really have
that wedding was
everybody's addresses, so that was. So, how do you stay married or in a relationship for
yes.
this long?
So in a relationship and married and having a career. That's
And
one at a time if you want. But yes, please let us too in the world know who have not made it thus far.
it's really funny to think about because I would say everything anyone tells you not to do is probably what we did. So, I don't know if I have advice. I'll start with probably, you know,
I have a
the
question,
worst first date ever. Yes.
real quick, before you talk about your worst first date. Were you one of those girls who wanted to be married? Like, were you one of those girls who was
Great
like in high
question.
school who was like, "Oh, well, I can't wait to get married," or "I want to," because you come from two parents who have been married all your life, right? So, were
Yes, my
you one of
parents.
those girls who was like, "I'm gonna get married one day. This is the type of life I want"?
No.
Okay,
I never thought about my wedding or anything. I think you had said that too. I never dreamed of what my wedding would look like. Also, like you said, my parents have been married going on, I want to say 51 years
yay for
next
them.
week or 2 weeks. And
Hey man, girl, that's what's up.
my both sets of grandparents stayed married the entire time. They're both my grandmothers were widows until my maternal grandmother passed away. So I don't come from, although I've had aunts and uncles divorced, but in my immediate family, my immediate circle, that never happened. So I always thought if I did get married, I didn't have, you know, probably like everyone, I don't have divorce on the mind, or I wasn't afraid of getting married because I hadn't seen good relationships. I was always just focused on myself. And I always said, whatever kind of however my life ends up, it ends up. I don't have any sort of predetermined things that I was trying to do. I just wanted to work. So you're talking about career woman. That's really what I've always focused on wanting to do. And after I left college, I worked as tech support for various companies. And there came a time, I want to say after 9/11, where they called it like the dot com bust, and it was a big one. I was laid off of the tech support job. I said, maybe internet's done. Maybe I need to learn some useful skill that I can take with me further into adulthood than this computer thing. And so I went to work at this market research place, and my job was to be front of the house. And I would deal with the clients, which would be the market execs. And then I would also deal with the people. So we had studies. So any studies you'll think of, taste tests to if they want to, excuse me, a company wants to launch a new commercial on the first day, they took me to the back where they had the people who were the ones they called them screeners. So you would either call in if you heard about it, or they would cold call people to kind of get them into whatever these studies to get the demographics that the marketing representatives or marketing executives needed for whatever their product was. So that wasn't going to be my job, but I think they wanted to show how everybody can do everything like that, because sometimes it was all hands on deck and they needed everybody on the phones. So I had misunderstood the instructions as I was calling and getting people, because we had a whiteboard that had a bunch of tick marks on it. And in each demographic lane, men, women, and the age ranges and race, whatever the demographics were, they had them up on the board and you would put tick marks into where everybody was. Well, I thought the tick marks were the max. And so I would go and I'd be erasing lines as I had booked people. So then, from my brain, when you were out of lines, then that was closed. So it was getting weird because I was like, man, I could have sworn I had erased two of these and now two more are up. And we were getting to the end of the night and the boss was looking at it and his numbers are off. And I see this guy and loudly, rudely was like, well, some people don't know how to do math. They don't know how to add or subtract.
Oh,
And I was like
wow.
trying to explain myself. I was like, oh no, I think I was just confused. And because I thought you had to erase instead of put on there. And he was like looking at me like I was dumb. And I was like, what a rude jerk. And this guy, I could tell he was mixed with something. He looked black, but I knew he wasn't 100% black. And you always, whether it's school or work, you would come in and you would side eye those guys at first because you had to kind of see how they moved. A lot of them, I felt, thought they were better than regular black people. And sometimes those guys didn't even mess with black girls because, they could go in between different races, or some of them had light eyes or quote unquote good hair. You know what I mean, Kia? Does that make sense what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. We all know.
I was like, I had my eye on him. Yeah, so I was like, of course he has an attitude. Of course he's a jerk. He thinks he's better than whatever. And I was like, whatever. Um, so as time went on, working there, sometimes after work, he and I would just talk about work stuff. The reason why I like talking to him is he knew all of the gossip. He wasn't a gossiper, but I would say something about someone and he was like, no, that's not what's going on. Let me tell you about this person. He like I just knew everything about everybody and I'm nosy as heck. So it was really interesting. And so we would find ourselves staying after work, kind of just chit chatting.
Great, a great, that's a great friendship. You got the nosy
Yeah,
one and the one who knows it all.
exactly. And so
Right.
there was never any sort of like checking each other out or anything from my perspective. So it was like, all right, so maybe we got off on the wrong foot, but I thought, okay, he's fine. I never really try to get close to people I work with as far as friendships go anyway. So it was a decent coworker. And with part of my job of working with the clients, we had to order them food and things like that. And there was always extra food left over, and we just had to throw it out. And that never sat right with me. I hated just throwing out all of this food. And there were a lot of, varying ages of those people in the back. There were older seniors, and then there were young guys like, that guy and other people. And so we would have leftover sandwiches that we had, for the people who were coming to do the studies. We would put that in the break room, and most people didn't come and eat, or maybe somebody would have a sandwich, but I would have, you know, 24 sandwiches and somebody would eat two. And so I wasn't supposed to give them to the back room. I would sneak it back there. And then that guy started hanging out at the end of the night to help me clean up. So I would give him, I was like, I have all this food left over. And so he would help me clean up the rooms and then I would give him all the extra food. And he loved that. So this other girl got
Oh, so you started feeding him and getting
I
to his
started
heart
feeding.
right away. You know, they
Well, I
say
wasn't
they say,
trying
what is
to.
it? The stomach is the key to a man's heart or
The
something.
Yep, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Right. And well, I did. He did not look like, um, he was early 20s, 21, and a guy. So partying up the wazoo, and he always looked like he had not been to bed the night before. Like he just partied all night, rolled into work, like a lot of early 20 people do. So he never his hair was never really done. He kind of had grown his hair out. He had facial hair, but it just didn't look put together. So definitely not anybody I was interested in. But still, like I said, friendly, all of that stuff. One day, I guess now knowing him, he must have actually gotten a good night's sleep and woke up early. And sometimes when that happens, he has time to pull himself together. And back in those days, and even still now, I prefer like more of a clean shaven look as far as facial hair and also not a lot of hair on your head. So anybody knows my husband now, that's 180. He had a lot of hair on his head and full beard. But he walked in and he was like clean shaven, buzz cut, and he walks in the door and I would just looked at him and it was like, damn, that was like in my head. And unfortunately, I'm not somebody with a poker face. So I know that hit my face. And I remember telling myself internally, like, fix your face, because I know you probably looked at him like, put this on a platter, let's go. And he caught it. And I know you guys laughing, knowing him,
Put this on a platter
he
and let's go.
looked at me and then I like fixed my face. He's like, I saw the way you were looking at me. Like he can't just let it go, right? So he had to say something. So now I'm super embarrassed. And I was like, oh my God, Javon, why did you look like you like this guy? You're at work. Okay. You don't want to go out with anybody at work. Now this is gonna be awkward. So this girl got hired to do what I do as well to kind of help out. It was really busy. She was absolutely gorgeous, like one of those conventionally attractive girls. She was white, but didn't look all the way white. I knew she wasn't black, but I didn't know what she was mixed with. So the reason why it comes up is again, now he's staying after to help me out and now also to help her, both of us, because I said, hey, we give him food at the end of the night. She's like, great, we don't have to throw it all away. And so all of us are chatting and stuff. And with one of those nights and we're just all laughing and talking. He had asked her, and I guess she had said that she was mixed with Mexican and white. And he goes, man, half breed people, all attractive. And I was like, hold on, time out. And I said, I'm not mixed, but I'm not ugly. And he goes, whoa, I thought you were. I thought you were half breed like the rest of us. And so I guess he thought we were all mixed or something. I don't know. I don't feel like I look mixed. So I don't know if he was backtracking or whatever. So I
Right,
was
'cause I was gonna
like,
say, I don't feel like you look mixed either, but
no, no,
okay.
no. So he goes, oh, he's like, well, you're kind of light. And I thought you were mixed. I'm all, nah, nah. And so after that, he was like being friendly and stuff. And I go, well, let's see. And so I asked for his number and he's like, I don't have a phone. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And I heard him saying something to
Who
someone
had
about
phones back
calling.
then? Like when you asked for his number, was this still like the beginning of cell phone age or house phone? Like,
Yes, it was definitely in the house phone age, but you get
okay,
one or the
okay,
other.
okay.
Not everybody had a cell phone, but everybody had a house phone.
Facts.
And so when he said,
Facts.
I don't have a phone, I'm like, okay. And then I thought he'd said something to somebody about calling them. And so I went up to him, and it's so weird because I'm an introvert, but I'm not afraid of confrontation. I don't go looking for stuff, but I'll stick up for myself. And so when I heard that, I said, I asked you for your number and you said you didn't have a phone. And I heard you tell that person about calling them. That's fine. If you don't want me to have your number, you could have just said no, but you don't have to lie to me. And he's like, whoa, I didn't lie. I don't have a phone. My apartment complex has a payphone. I can make a call, but I don't have a phone. I can't give you a phone number. He goes, I can have your number and I can call you, but you can't call me. Or you know how you could call payphones if someone was standing right there at that moment?
I was the
Yes.
queen at the call me back on the payphone. I knew
Right.
where
And
I knew where
so,
most of the ones that had a phone number to call back were at.
yeah. So that's why he was like, so I don't have like that number memorized, but I could call you from there and then, we could, I was like, oh, okay. And so we decided to see, first we went to just like a Jack in the Box, and we weren't, I guess that was our official first date, but it really wasn't. We were just kind of hanging out and we were still talking a lot about work. And it was like the talks we would have standing outside of work. But these talks started getting really long, you guys. It would be on Saturdays, we worked like 8 to noon or 8 to 1. And we would start talking. And then I would look and it's dusk. And I was like, we've been
Oh,
talking for
wow.
3, 4 hours and just chit chatting and all of these things. Don't know how it came up, but we started talking about porn. And I said, I don't understand it. You guys just watch it. You just watch a video. I don't get it. And he's like, let me show you a video. He's like, I'm just going to drop a video off. And he's like, go home. He's like, just watch it. He goes, and then you kind of see what scenes you like, what you don't like. And he's like, let me know. So he literally brought a torn DVD to work, and like I had it in my car, and then I did what he said. I like took it home. He's like, just watch it. And um, so then I brought it back and we were
I'm
talking about
learning
stuff like that.
so much about you
I
right
know.
now.
I was just about to say, I
I ain't even
love
mad at
that.
you.
That
Yeah. We said, why don't we see if we can hang out after work? Like outside of work, not talking about work, and just see if we enjoy each other's company. We seem to, but we're always talking about work. So our goal was just to see if we can go out on a date and see if it was weird or not. And if it was weird, no harm, no foul. So that next Saturday, I did not have to go in to work, and I think he had called off too. So I lived in East Mesa, and he lived close by. He was in Phoenix, and our job was in Old Town, Scottsdale. So we decided to meet up at the job and then decide what we were going to do. We're going to meet up in the morning. I want to say around 9 a.m. And at that time, I made that time for a reason, although I'm a forgetful person. And on that Saturday, I don't remember why I made it that early. And I had kind of stayed up a little late, and I was getting up late, and I woke up probably 30 minutes before I needed to be there. And from East Mesa to Scottsdale, I wasn't going to make it. So, and again, he doesn't have a phone, but I called the office and told the person, I was like, hey, Daniel's coming and he's going to meet me. Can you let him know that I'm running late? Let's change the time. I'll meet him at 12 o'clock instead. She's like, okay, I'll let him know. So when he gets there, I guess she told him, he calls me from the office and he was like, okay, so meet you at 12. I said, yeah. I start heading there. And now I'm going to be maybe like 30 minutes early. And I get to the office, and for whatever reason, in my head, I tell myself, we're not going to sit here and wait on no man. You're going to give him 10 minutes. And if he's not here, you're going to leave.
Is this
No
you
reason.
being early? I'm not gonna
Yes.
wait, or even though you said 12 o'clock.
Even though I said 12 o'clock,
Oh my
and he
gosh.
agreed to that, I said, if he's not here, even though I'm early, I'm going to leave.
not
So
you
there was
put
no
a
reason.
time limit on him
Nothing.
that he
But
didn't know
No,
about.
and you're early.
No,
And you're
and
early.
I'm early.
That's
And I'm
where I'm
early.
stuck
There
at.
was,
And we're early. But I feel you are not waiting.
and I'm early.
But when we're early, you was a little nervous.
I wait for the 10 minutes, and surprise, surprise, he's not there early. And I was like, I leave. So I get up, I get in my car. As I'm hitting reverse, he's coming into the parking lot. So as I'm backing out and I see him come in, I say to myself, well, now you'll look stupid by parking the car when you were in reverse. Keep going. So I back out, I pretend I don't see him, and I start driving out of the parking lot. He starts
No.
following me. So he starts following me, like, what the hell is going on? And so we're driving a few blocks, and then I quote unquote notice him. Like I made it seem like, like he pulled up next to me, like Old Town Scottsdale, there's a bunch of stoplights. So I get caught at a light. He pulls up next to me and he's looking at me and he's like, what are you doing? Weren't we supposed to meet at 1 or 12, whatever the time was? And I was like, yeah, okay. And so I turn back around and we both go to the parking lot, and he's probably thinking, what the heck is wrong
What's
with this
wrong
person?
with her?
A reasonable person would have and should have left, right? But um, so then we hop in my car, and because I have a rule, like I'm not gonna be stranded, so I'm driving. So I was like, once we get to my car, I realized why I had set our date for the morning. I have a hair appointment in an hour
Oh
in East Mesa,
no.
and I'm about an hour away. And so I get in the car and I was like, let's drive over to my side of town. I don't know what we're going to do yet. We were going to watch, actually, I remember we're going to watch Kill Bill Volume 2, talk about dating us. So,
Oh, so y'all always been movie folks. Okay.
always been movie folks. So, our
Okay.
first official date was a
Always.
movie. Well, it was supposed to be. So, we started driving, and I was like, hey, I have a hair appointment. Really quick. I'm just going to get a wash and blow dry. I'll be fast. And he was like, okay. So I drive out to my parents' house, drop him off there, like bring him in.
Wait,
Hi, this is Manuel.
did you just say you wait? You on the first date you took him to your mama's house and left him there by himself?
Yes. Yeah. So I had, I'm
You
like,
didn't
sit here
e
on the couch. It's not going to be that long.
I thought you was gonna just take his ass with you to the damn hair shop.
I
No?
thought she was
Okay.
gonna say he was going to the shop with her too, but no, just
Right. No, she
I'm gonna
said
throw you
on the
right to
first
the
date,
fire.
she took him to her parents' house. Oh my gosh. I'd have been like,
Ladies,
drop me off at the damn bus stop, please.
it's,
Drop me off at the bus stop.
it's not even done. I get to JCPenney where I'm getting my hair done. And she was like, are we still doing color today?
Oh shit. No.
And instead of saying, no, I have plans, let's just do a wash and blow dry, I say yes. So, any women out
Mm.
I
there,
don't like you. Listen, I wouldn't like you for him right about now. Oh my God.
At all. Oh, I would have called you all type of selfish asses. What
And
the
then so now
fuck?
he's stuck. He has no house phone. He's gonna be at your parents' house longer. And
he's
he's real life stuck with parents and no phone. Okay, okay, I'm here for it.
so obviously that hair appointment takes hours. So, wash, blight, color, you got to rinse that out, all that good stuff. So, I'm at the point where they're going to rinse it out. I was like, let me call my house. So, I call. And I was like, I'm so sorry it's taking so long. I'll be on my way, just a little bit longer. And so he's like, okay. And so I get there, get back, it's nighttime now at this point.
I would never call your ass again. Baby, I would not have called your black ass again.
Listen.
What
And
the
When I get there, he's like, can I have some water? Literally, he was ignored the entire time he was there. They didn't know, like who is this guy? People were coming and going. No one offered him water. Like, I don't know where our Midwestern hospitality went, but it went. So he was just sitting on the couch. Sometimes my dad would come and watch something, then they would leave. Like, it was just, he was like in the
no.
background.
He was sitting there
So
that whole time. No water, no food, no nothing. Oh, they so bogus. Ooh,
so bogus for that. Like, I was like, well, at least he'd
and let
be
me put this
taken
out
care
here,
of.
guys, just to kind of help with this scenario. This is a Mexican and black man. This
Yes.
is a Mexican and black man. That is his nationality. And she left him at the house. No, wasn't offered no food
with
or
her
water.
fully black ass family.
Right. He grew up Mexican. There would be all kinds of food offerings or,
He would have been talked to at least. The whole
talk to.
family would have known his ass by now, and all the Theas would have got phone calls like, "Our she left this guy here." The whole family would have known, girl.
And I had the car, so he had no way of leaving, like you said. And
You held that man hostage, my guy.
hostage.
You held.
So now it's too late to go to the movies. And now he's seeing how far I live, and it's gonna be like a 2 hour round trip. I'm like, why don't we watch the first one, Kill Bill, right now, and we'll run this back tomorrow. And so, I mean, what is he gonna do, right? So we sit there,
Y'all
we
would have
watch the
told
first
your ass
movie.
hell.
After we watch it, we go. My apartment was around the corner from my parents' house.
So
Um,
close. He about to sleep in his clothes. You sat at your parents' house all day, and your apartment was down the street where your brother and sister live.
But so I go, so when I woke up in the morning, he was still asleep on the couch, and I live close to a Walmart. And I said, all right, I'm going to sneak out. I feel horrible, by the way. I know I'm laughing, but I really did feel bad. So I go to Walmart, I pick up some eggs, some bacon, and some like Pillsbury biscuits. And then I see this little travel kit because I was like, I don't know what guys need in the morning. So it had like toothbrush, mouthwash, like shaving stuff, all that. And I bought all that. I come back and he's still asleep.
But
I start cooking breakfast. So he wakes up to me cooking breakfast and he's way excited. I didn't know this then, but afterwards I hear he's like, I wake up, I smell breakfast cooking. I was like, all right. And like you said, he's Mexican. That he's like, this is everything's right in the world. This is how a woman should act. And then we saw the movie kind of later on that day. And I want to say he went to dinner with my family. I think so. I'm not sure. But anyway, and then we drive back to his side of town and drop him off. And so from there, we just did start, that wasn't a repellent as maybe it should have been, but within the next few days and us hanging out and doing what we do, I asked him, so maybe this is a week into it, and I go, what is this? What are we? And he was like, I don't know, kind of like a relationship without the title. And I said, no, I don't do that. So it's over then. And he's like, whoa, hold on. I said, it's either gonna be a title or nothing. And so he goes, okay, okay. So then we're boyfriend and girlfriend. I was like, okay. And he's like, um, and then he just got tired of me going back and forth. So when I say everything wrong, so now week 2 of us dating, he's like, I don't want you driving back there anymore. I want you coming home with me. So we basically moved into each other after 2 weeks. After I want to say a few weeks, we decided that they think they knew at work that we were dating, and I don't think the bosses liked it. And I said, this job doesn't pay that much. I can make a lot of money, a lot more money if I go back to tech support. And so we were going back with him. I was like, what do you think? Because I was trying to leave computers, but I can get a tech support job pretty easy with my experience. And he's like, let's go for it. So that's when I started working at the company I work at now. I was like, I'll give it a year to kind of build up some money and then we'll see where we go from there. So both of that, him dating him and then getting this job within a few months of each other. And that's all
so,
she wrote for both.
so okay.
I
With
was,
that being said, yeah. With that being said, how long after living together and being together did he propose?
I would say within 6 months he proposed to me, but he did ask my parents first, and he had gotten a ring, and he took me back to my old apartment where I guess we had our first date. That was awful, but he took me back to my old apartment, and I was like, why are we going back over here? Um, and in the parking lot, and then he asked me there. So that is when we were proposed, but we still
Or were you
stayed
guys sitting
engaged
in
for
the
a
car when
while.
he proposed, or did you guys get out the
Yeah,
car?
no, in the car.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
oh,
so
in the
that's
parking lot.
so
cute.
sweet.
That was actually thoughtful. That was thoughtful.
It was very thoughtful. So moral of the story is, ladies, um, if you can't find a man, just kidnap him, move in with him within 2 weeks, and you'll have a husband.
Right. And also more of the story is that for some people it just works fast. Others it takes more time, right? Like,
Well,
Absolutely.
I
and I
mean,
will say, I would never tell anybody, don't move together after 2 weeks. It was hard, and obviously you're like learning about each other, getting to know each other while you're living together. And I think that's why when you're saying what makes this work for so long, I mean, we were in the trenches in our early 20s going through that, and for some reason kept fighting through it. I mean, anything that had come up. I mean, we didn't go through, thank goodness, any sort of abuse or any of that stuff, but just, I'm like a lone wolf and he has had a lot of childhood traumas. And so all of those things just surface when you're with somebody day in and day out.
You
But
guys were young, and so you're still
yeah,
learning yourself.
we just kept working through it. And so I just feel like us dating through all of that, once we got married, it was like we've been through already a lot and not much worse is coming up. That as far as that we can't work through or talk through or anything.
Well, it sounded too like your relationship started on a friendship,
Yep.
as learning to conversate. Like you guys always had that conversation. So probably learning each other's communication styles without knowingly knowing you're learning it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and you guys are probably it sounds like to me you guys are kind of on the same path of life, and where you're
Yeah.
going with stuff.
The foundation of our values is the same, even though how we got there, like what we believed in, we were both didn't even though he didn't come from a stable upbringing, he didn't want, divorce either. And we have always said, and we've always made like, we don't throw that word around. That word has never left any of our, like, if he said that to me or if I said that to him, then it's pack it up time because I'm not going to play with anybody saying that to me, and neither is he. So, as far as like a hard line in the sand, like, we don't play with that. That's not something you throw out in an argument or anything like that. So,
I feel like that should
but
be a rule in any relationship where you're dating. Like, don't
right,
say that shit to you know you mean it.
until
right,
Because
you know you mean.
yeah. And we were like opposite types of personalities. I like to stay at home. He was like a going out type person, really friendly, all of that. So there would be a lot of times where I'm like, you can go by yourself. So that kind of started it. Now I'm the one who's out as far as traveling goes. And he's like, fine, you can go.
do you feel that in your relationship, you both having your own life aside from each other has helped?
Yeah. I think that it takes a lot of the anxiety away, but being two solid people individually, I think helps you maintain that strong relationship because our foundation isn't codependent. And I think that's where some of these things, you got to be checking that person's phone. You need to have your location on, like none of that. We've never shared location. One of our found is like lying is his number one, just like yours, his pet peeve are people who lie. So I can always trust that since he hates liars so much, he's also not lying because he wouldn't do that since that's something that he hates. And a lot of people do, even little white lies he doesn't like.
I feel like people need to understand how codependency is in relationships, right? And it's not always a good thing, and how having your own separate life and a life with each other can keep that spark because you have something to talk about. But I will say that one of my favorite things about your marriage is the fact that you guys are like that. And now hearing the story, it makes sense, right? Because I always like the very first time we all went on a cruise together, I was like, my friend's married and her husband just let her, because I've never been married, right? I'll never forget you ordered fucking DoorDash from the middle of the ocean for him. That took me out. I ain't gonna lie, that took me out. That was like a whole nother level. And I admired that and I loved it because you guys had that. And then as time went on, and I learned how, sometimes y'all take trips together, take trips apart. He's never has an issue.
So through all okay. So through the kidnapping
I like
man
drama.
still chose you. I I love that. Like y'all literally have this story that Lifetime movies are made out of. It's for real. Like
Right.
so I love that in y'all learning phase with moving in within 2 weeks, y'all still chose at that young age to choose each other over and over again. That's amazing. That's amazing.
There were so many things that you have to learn through or learn not to do or learn that this is manipulative or this is toxic or, we're silent treatment and what. works and doesn't for someone like, okay, I need a break or I need to walk away from things or I need to, so just going through all of those with all the little bitty fights you have or snowballing things. And sometimes we just get to a point where, I mean, we literally just have to talk out all of these things that maybe we had been silently letting go for a month and just get it all out. And then we're good for a long time, but it's, you forgive things or you let things go, but it always kind of still sits there if you don't really take that time to resolve it. So even when I feel like we're getting on each other's nerves, sometimes we have like, it seems like every day this week we're on each other's nerves, but they're just real small snippets. And then you get right back in, you have to have that a short memory about that. I think one thing that I read that I thought was really nice is you have to be, you're a team. It's not you versus them. It is you two versus whatever the problem is. And so working through it kind of in that manner of, okay, what is this resolution going to be? And it may not be we agree. It may be going, okay, I understand why you think this. I understand what you're coming from. I'm never going to get there because I didn't, either grow up that way or I don't feel that way or something like that doesn't bother me, but I understand where you're coming from and I know what you need, so I can do this because you need it type of a thing sometimes, and that's as good as it's gonna get
So
sometimes, so.
so what you would say is, and I think we talked about this on another show, and a lot of people forget this, is you accept people for who they are.
The one thing that I feel like really leveled us up, and it's one thing you have to just maybe learn with age, is everybody doesn't need to know everything. Sometimes with every fight you go and talk to your mom or talk to your sister and it just starts rumors. And then you find yourself that the only thing you're talking about are the little bad times. And now they've built this narrative. And now anytime they're looking at that person, they aren't remembering anything nice about them because you're only saying bad things. And
Yes.
I had found myself going every time I would come back from my parents' house, we would get into an argument. And I had to kind of how you have to like look at yourself when you're going through anger management. Like I had to look at myself and like, why am I getting mad at him for things that didn't originate with me being mad? Somebody said something and now I'm trying to save face. So now I'm going to come home and I'm going to make sure he's not doing X, Y, and Z. It's like, why? That's not their business and it's not their marriage. And if I didn't have a problem with it 2 days ago, why do I have a problem with it now? Because this person has brought it up. Like, okay, that might be their line. It doesn't have to be my line. So just freeing yourself from the judgment of other people in your relationship and just keeping it and working through it there is really the best way. You don't need all of these other people's opinions to make your relationship work.
I do love that too. And the fact that they say too, as the saying goes, you forgive that person. The person that you told doesn't forgive that person.
Right. I had the privilege of, and I would say that your kids probably have it too, Drea and Kia, that they have a place to go. You know, there's some
Absolutely.
people who don't have that strong family or a strong support system, so they stick through things that they maybe shouldn't. And so I think that's always given me some level of confidence that if this doesn't work out, I got someplace. I'm never gonna be homeless. I'm never faced with that, and there's a privilege that not everybody has, and I understand that.
I just want to praise y'all for real because there, when I was in my psychology courses and when I was in college, and I remember the saying that stuck with me so hard. The professor, we were going through one of our books, and it was, the person that suits you in your 20s will not suit you in your 30s because that's so much growth. And the
Mhm.
fact that y'all were able to work through that.
I took a sociology of marriage class in my one of the things he said, the professor said, in your marriage, he said, you can ask somebody to do something and they can do it however they want, or you can do it yourself. But you can't ask somebody to do something and tell them how and when to do it. And I
Mhm.
remember telling Manuel that early, and that's something that we have taken. It seems like really small, but there are so many times when you ask somebody to do something for you. And now, if you didn't set it up and saying, hey, can you get this done by this date? And that's what they agreed to, then you either need to do it yourself or they're going to do it because they said they're going to do it and you're going to let them do it how and whenever they want to. So that stops a lot. Like, I'm not nagging 3 or 4 times because if I say, "Hey, can you hang up some blinds? I bought these blinds. Can you hang them up?" He's like, "Sure, I'll hang them up," but I actually want them hung up by the end of the day. Well, if he's not doing it in the time frame that I'm starting to feel like, "I want these blinds up, I want these blinds up," I start doing it. And it's not a knock. "Hey, yeah, I heard you were gonna do it, but I kinda wanted them up right now." So just,
That's actually a
you
really
know
good point because,
yeah.
and a lot of times us women, when we ask them to do something, we low key want it done right then and there. But men do like to be needed and they do want to do things for us. However, if we don't give a time or a date or a deadline, so let's say I say today's Tuesday, I need this shit done by next week on Tuesday. Okay, we can't expect that done Wednesday or Thursday. Just know that there's a possibility it's going to be done by Tuesday.
You guys know, like, I redid my kitchen cabinets
Yes, she did.
and countertops, and we had been talking about it, and he had agreed. He's like, "Yeah, we can do this together." I put up the paint chips. We had decided on the colors, and then we had just neither of us had just sat down and picked any sort of time. And so when he was going to be gone for a week and a half, I was like, "Well, this is my only opportunity that if I want to do it myself, I can because I can shut down the kitchen." And I did it. He came home and it was done. So it was a lot of work. It was hard. I don't recommend doing it all by yourself, but yeah. So that's one of the things, just a little tidbit, either pick something that's a core tenant that you can just because these little things going to happen. I mean, day in and day out with somebody, they're going to annoy you. Think of if you're not an only child, like your siblings, like day in and day out, they annoy you, but you're able to just come right back
Absolutely.
around the next day and it's like that didn't happen. So that we do that a lot.
I love that. I love that piece of advice. Pick your core tenant and stick with it and always go back to it during the rough times if y'all are not agreeing. Our call to action. Hey chatties, hey chatties. We need you to hit like. We need you to share. We need you to subscribe. We need you to leave us comments and feedback. We'd love to see you. We love our comments that we are getting. So please continue to follow us on this journey. Please continue to give us topic ideas because I promise you our group chat probably already has it in there. So thanks for joining us.